Hello YouTube. Last week I released a video about Melissa Scott Miller called Backs of Houses. It was an absolute pleasure to film and work with Melissa, who I've known, well, should I say, she's known me for many years, since I was a child. I used to hang out with her daughter as a kid, and when we were both kids. So it was a real pleasure to work with her and tell her story about her painting. So I've had a lot of comments about the film, so I thought I'd do a little commentary about the making of it, and yeah, I hope you enjoy. Here we go. I love the fact that it starts with her dog having a wee.
He's doing quite well, actually.
He's a sweet boy. This was literally when we just left her flat. Literally just put the camera in my hand, mic'd her up.
Just like the idea of it.
And the idea was to just film her in her environment, what she would do normally on a daily basis, just to get her comfortable.
Yeah,
she's an artist. She's not going to be used to sitting in front of a camera, talking to a camera, being interviewed in a sort of classic way.
I got him for his 11th birthday, and but he does still look after him. But I've been the main person who takes him out.
And we immediately start to learn about her life. And she has a son.
I'm always putting him in my paintings, actually, but
I'm right there. So we're at 1 minute 10 seconds in, and if you don't know Melissa, then you've just figured out that she's a painter.
Don't take him out with me painting, because if he saw a fox or a cat, he'd just go zooming up.
So it's a lovely intro, 1 minute 20 seconds in. Just turn my watch to silent, shall we? That'd be good. And yeah, so she's immediately starting to get a sort of sense of her character, which is really lovely. And this is much later, so we've been for the dog walk, done a lot of talking about her, and we just come back to her flat.
Tidy up, we just left it like it is.
I love that. For whatever reason, she just left the place how it was, which is perfect. This beautiful shot, we're going up, you can't really see her paintings, but there are wall-to-wall paintings. We see the canvases, more paintings on the wall, half-finished paintings. Almost every wall, through the door on the left you see unfinished paintings and a finished painting, and then you couldn't have scripted it.
Joey, would you like some tea or coffee, Joe?
And we're in her world now, and see the results of her work and everything she puts into her paintings.
When I bought the flat, the main thing I loved was this view.
See yours truly in the mirror there. Not ideal, but can't win.
Big paintings. While he was at school, all my paintings were like landscape shape of the view, and it's really good from that window. But since he left school, which was obviously 3 years ago, he's 21 now. I can't really paint in his bedroom because he was self-employed and he's around.
I just love this.
He's changed everything around and everything. And that's when I thought, I'm going to have to work on the stairs. So 3 or 4 years ago.
Now, what I love is that not everybody would have made that decision. And there was always a big question with artists, why don't you just take a photograph and paint from the photograph? And a very annoying photo, certainly to Melissa and a lot of artists that I'm aware of. And and that question gets answered much later. So it's really great, and I love that she goes to such lengths to be in her location that she's painting.
How am I going to do it? And I've worked out, you can see all the paint marks, I've worked out the exact bigger size I can get away with. And so that's why they're all the same size. But
Love this.
It actually makes them look quite good. It's now a real series.
The struggle of getting it set up.
Yeah, it's just a really
fantastic.
amazing view. I mean, any time of year, I mean, particularly in the winter, because you can see right back all the houses and the bats of gold.
And I just love her character in this, and how she's just absolutely no holds barred. Just this is what she does, and this is her world, and it's perfectly normal for her. This is what she does, and it really feels like she's not filtering anything for me, which is really fantastic. As a filmmaker, or a documentary filmmaker, that's what I'm sort of after, trying to grab hold of that authentic character that nobody sees. And if I'd sat her down in her lounge or in somewhere in her house or wherever, invited her into the studio to sit her down for an interview, I don't feel like it would feel nearly as genuine and nearly as sort of authentic in the way that she says it. Her language isn't perfect, nothing is perfect about it, but that's brilliant.
I just find it really fascinating because it's really interesting what different people do in their gardens. In that garden, they're like feeding the foxes and everything, and in this garden, they're like putting traps.
I love the dramatic irony of that.
Little animals. And the trees, like sometimes they chopped a tree down actually last winter, so that really changed.
I sort of wanted that shot of the can't think of what it's called, the oil vessel tube, there you go, the paint tube, sort of reminiscent of a chopped down tree.
Everything, suddenly you can see different things, and I never get tired of it.
And just a few little shots of her not getting tired of it.
I quite enjoy the fact that there are limitations. Like I have to think to myself, I can't do that one today because there's too many people coming in and out. So
And we've established that sort of her day-to-day life about halfway through the film, which is 11 minutes long in total.
to go. To
And now we're off.
Or wherever.
And I filmed her entire journey from her house to Mount Street and filmed a lot of her, still had the mic running all the time, capturing so much fantastic stuff, asking her questions and seeing her journey, and she'd walk around town to get to her location. And there was so much stuff I couldn't use, traffic noise or whatever, that I just couldn't make work. But it's always worth getting, I feel. I just love this garden is in the heart of Mayfair, and I love the sheer amount of things you're not allowed to do in the garden. It's just brilliant.
This is my spot. This is where I've been painting. So I always have to, I remember that this is my spot because I remember this kept poking in my face. And I remember that tree root.
And there's the view, that's what she's
I like
painting.
to feel that I'm kind of portraying the essence of an area as well. Sounds a bit pretentious.
I love the fact she says that, because she had a friend of hers say that is not pretentious at all in the slightest. She's probably the least pretentious person ever. So it's really just such a lovely moment to see again her character and how unpretentious she is.
When I go to a place, I look at all the things that go on and I think, oh, a bus always goes past this. That's part of it. It shows it's in London and it's part,
It's not a bus going past, but it's people going past. I guess I quite like that, you know, it's symbolising something going past, a bus going past her. There's some imagery in there somewhere, but I liked it.
People from the bus see the nice garden. It's all telling the story. And in fact, often I look at my paintings and I remember how great I felt doing it. I mean, it is incredibly therapeutic, you know, painting flowers.
Really up close and personal for the first time
a lot
now.
of painters are really good at painting from photographs. When I paint from a photograph, I'm bored and it shows. I don't do it very well. And if I'm in front of something, for some reason I just get really excited by it, I enjoy.
There we go.
And all that goes into the painting.
And that's enough. That's all you need to answer that question. She gets excited when she's stood in front of her subject, and she's bored when she's in front of a photograph. Who are we to say otherwise?
Sometimes also get annoyed and nervous, and I think all that goes into it.
I love the fact she said that.
Funny.
Yeah, this side? No.
Over there.
Just these fingers going everywhere, pointing in different directions. The fact that he can't see where the canvas is, you know, or what she's painting is, I find hilarious.
Next side, पूरा हो गया. Same झाड़ के जैसे का जैसा same बीच वाला. और ये टेढ़ा है ना देखो. ये टेढ़ा है बड़ा वाला.
This is so rude.
ये देखो टेढ़ा ही है बड़ा वाला.
This comes right up to her, like barely acknowledges her, and just talking to his friend. I just find that very rude, and I'd be annoyed if I was Melissa. So I thought that was a good example of her getting annoyed. And then these two are lovely. It's amazing what you can pick up with just a mic on your subject.
Stunning. What are those paints that you're using?
A very valid question to anybody who doesn't know. Love to include that. Want this film to be able to be viewed by anybody and answer the questions that Joe Blogs or whoever could ask, could not know the answer to. I am by no means an artist at all. I've grown up with artists, so I know that she paints with oils, but many people don't know. So trying to get in a sort of unusual, just authentic way to get information across in a sort of genuine and natural way rather than a staged way.
Oh my god, it's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
So do you draw it out first?
Yeah. I'm sort of waiting
Bit of
for
a
the
extra
sun
zoom
to
there.
come out. It was really sunny when I started it.
Oh my god, the colours are insane. It's beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
Shame about that guy passing, but it's a good moment. And then this guy's just... Remember Melissa saying afterwards that she felt quite intimidated and quite scared of this guy who didn't say anything and just got closer and closer. I mean, it's unbelievable how close he gets and not having said anything.
Very nice.
Thank you.
How much fun?
And you can tell Melissa's, you know, pretty uncomfortable. Yeah.
What is your name?
Melissa Scott Miller. I'll give you a card if you like.
This is for a lady that I work for, so it's a long
Yep.
time. She asked me about your name.
Oh, right.
Would you like to sell this one?
Maybe. There was a lady who asked me who had 2 little dogs. Was it her?
No.
Oh, right.
No.
Oh,
And here we
she
just
said
get some
her
elements
two
of
little
story,
dogs, so
you know.
she'd buy it, but-
This is just one day of Melissa's life, and I want it to be as genuine as possible. And this is just one example of people coming up to her, being interested in what she does, and where she often sells her paintings as she does them, which is just fantastic.
Okay, thank you very much. It's lovely.
Oh, thank you. That's really nice.
Some great comments.
And I always think when eventually the place we lived for the longest
And so we've sort of seen everything. We're at the ending now. You know, that was the middle, and we see her process and see how she works and who she is and what she does. And now we've, you know, this is the start of the ending scene where she's left her location, and we actually go back in time to that dog walk that we had in the morning, where she says this fantastic stuff about her childhood and where she grew up, and where I sort of felt it really sums up what she's about, what's important to her, and where it came from.
She looked out on backs of houses and back gardens and all brick, you know, lovely old brickwork. And I used to just stand and look out of the window for hours. And I started to draw and paint the view out of the window from when I was really little.
And she's been doing it all her life.
And I loved that view, you know. And I think that now I find it very comforting to paint. Like I feel like I'm at home if I'm painting back gardens and brick walls and everything.
And that's the message, isn't it? And I think right there you get a sense of the journey that she's been on, from being a child looking out of her bedroom window, growing up looking out of her bedroom window and starting to draw it and trying to capture it in that way. And she's still doing that to this day. Well, probably not, actually. She's probably been on a journey of doubt and lack of understanding of why and what it's all about, and finding that drive, I just think is fascinating. And we don't see that. I think that would require sort of a much longer film, but that journey. But I think in that moment you really get a sense of, wow, this is what's important to her. But I think there's so much more there that we don't see.
Like if I really had my own way, I'd just be painting backs of houses. But I kind of sometimes think I'd better paint something prettier so that it will sell.
A balance in all creative things. It's got to be a balance. You've got to do some things for yourself and some things to pay the bills. She lives and works as an artist. That's what she does. So there has to be that balance.
The front of a house. But no, I do like the fronts of houses as well.
And there she is. And just a really minute story, you know. Just gives us a sense of a journey, which is what all of her life is. You know, every day is different. Every painting is different, and how she gets to it. Fascinating.
Yeah. Hope he does his business.
And then just including that little joke at the end. Anyway, I hope you found that interesting. It was an absolute delight working with Melissa, and I very much look forward to seeing how the film helps her, and very interested in what you think of it. And please let me know in the comments. It would be wonderful to hear what you think. I think Melissa's a fantastic artist, and I hope you do too. But anyway, thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.